Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It is good to be together. I could say, what have I missed in the last 2 weeks? Rockets to space, Bucks winning the championship. There has been a lot going on, but it is so nice where we can take a note and take a pause in our week and celebrate Shabbat together to be unified as a community. As you can tell, Cantor Perper is not here tonight. He's on vacation, a well-earned vacation. But Rabbi Puzlowski, the multi-talented Rabbi Puzlowski, is going to be leading us in prayer with her beautiful voice. So please raise your beautiful voices along with hers and with mine so that we can celebrate this Shabbat together with music and with song, with prayer and with being together and a little fellowship too. So we are going to begin our service in our Siddur. If you open it up to page 2, you'll find the prayer there, the song Hava Nashira, Come Let Us Sing a Song of Praise. Hava Nashira, Shir Hallelujah, Shir Hallelujah, Hava Nashira, Shir Hallelujah, Shir Hallelujah, Hava Nashira, Shir Hallelujah, Shir Hallelujah. At the bottom of page 2, let us read responsively. Live each day to the fullest, get the most from each hour, each day, and each age of your life. Then you can look forward with confidence and back without regret. Be yourself, but be your best self. Dare to be different and to follow your own star, and don't be afraid to be happy. Enjoy what is beautiful. Love with all your heart and soul. Believe that those you love you. Forget what you have done for your friends and remember what they have done for you. Disregard what the world owes you and concentrate on what you owe the world. When you are faced with a decision, make that decision as wisely as possible and forget it. The moment of certainty never arises. Blessed is the generation in which the old listen to the young, and doubly blessed is the generation in which the young listen to the old. We join together now in the singing of Lecha Dodi. Di likrat likrat kala, pene pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala. Pene Shabbat nekabela, Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmi'anu el hamichad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'liti la 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 lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, kiva orech kumi ori, uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai ki la 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 lecha dodi. Likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lo'i v'shalom ateret bala, gam besimcha u'tochola, toch emunei am segula. Bo'i kala, la 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 lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei penei Shabbat v'habela. At the top of page 5, we read responsively, "For the good in us which calls us to a better life, we give thanks. For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and hands, we give praise. For the peace in us which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful. For all these we give thanks to the Creator of life and nature." Amen. Uchaye Decho Beit Yisrael, Bagala, Bagala, Uvizman Kariv. Amen. Yehesh Merabba Mevorach, Leolam Ulo Me'amaya, Yitbarach.
Yitbarach, Vishtabach, Yitbar, Viterman, Vinaseh, Vitadar, Vitala, Vitalal, Shemeda Kudashaba,
Brichu.
Laila, Min Kol Birchata, Veshirata,
Tush Bechata V'nechemata, Damiran Be'ama. Amen. We now rise together as we turn to the call to worship. Lie, la, lie, 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 lie. Lie, la, lie, 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 lie. Lie, la, lie, 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 la, lie, 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 lie. Lie, la, lie, 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 lie. Baruch et Adonai, Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai, Hamevorach, Hamevorach, Leolam Vaed. We continue in the Hebrew on page 6. Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna meshana itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim b'mishmeratehem berakia kirtzono, bore yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or, umavir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uven layla, Adonai tzevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. We continue now reading responsively at the top of page 8, or the middle of page 8. How wonderful, O God, are the works of your hands. The heavens declare your glory. The arch of sky displays your handiwork. In your love, you have given us the power to behold the beauty of your world, robed in all its splendor. The sun and the stars, the valleys and hills, the rivers and lakes, all disclose your presence. The roaring breakers of the sea tell us of your awesome might. The beasts of the field and the birds of the air bespeak your wondrous will. In your goodness, you have made us able to hear the music of the world, the raging of the winds, the whisperings of trees in the wood, and the precious voices of loved ones reveal to us that you are in our midst. A divine voice sings through all creation.
Shema
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. We continue now with the Hafta on page 9. בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאמצע ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובישעריך, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Adonai Elohechem Emet. In the middle of page 10, high and exalted, great and awesome, God ever humbles the proud, raises the lowly, frees the imprisoned, redeems the afflicted, helps the oppressed, answering our people when we cry out. Praise to God Most High, blessed is God and deserving of blessing. In great joy, Moses, Miriam, and Israel responded with song to you, all of them proclaiming,
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilo dosei feleh, nora tehilo dosei feleh. Malchutecha rovanecha, bokei ayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Sta'elianu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
We read responsively at the bottom of page 11, may these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. We continue now with Vishamru at the top of page 12.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat,
לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
בין ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו
בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. As we contemplate the importance of prayer and standing before that sense of the divine, we rise together as we turn to the tefillah, which can be found on page 12. Please rise. Please be seated. We read responsively on page 14. There is holiness when we strive to be true to the best we know. There is holiness when we are kind to someone who cannot possibly be of service to us. There is holiness when we forget what divides us and remember what unites us. There is holiness when we are willing to be laughed at for what we believe in. There is holiness when we love truly, honestly, and unselfishly. There is holiness when we remember the lonely and bring cheer into dark corners. There is holiness when we share our bread, ideas, and our enthusiasm. There is holiness when we gather to pray to God who gave us the power to pray. Modim anachnu lach, she'atahu Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu le'olam va'ed, tzur chayenu, magen yishenu, atahu ledor vador. We read together, O God of Israel's past, O God of this day, God of all flesh, creator of all life, we praise you, the Most High, for the gift of life. We give thanks, O source of good, that life endures. Eternal and infinite one, help us to use our life for blessing, to live by your law, to do your will, to walk in your way with a whole heart. We thank you, eternal God, for the blessing of life. We turn now to Shalom Rav as we think of the need for peace in our world, but also peace in our hearts.
Shalom Rav,
Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Atahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Ki atahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Shalom Ra'am al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam
V'tov
Beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam.
Tasim Le'olam.
Baruch atah Adonai hamavarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. It's important for us to take moments as we think of our dear ones, loved ones, who may be in need of healing, who are in need of wholeness. When we say the words shalom, we mean peace in the world, but it comes from the same root, shalem, which means wholeness. And we pray for wholeness, for those who need a refuat hanefesh or refuat haguf, a healing of spirit or a healing of body. Particularly in our hearts and minds, we are thinking of Shendel bat Frida Malka, Charlene Graham, Laura Bublitz, Keturah Bublitz, Ari Bublitz, Julie Borikoff, Margot Roz, Carol Dubin, Kara Yudkevich, Otto Feller, Samsara Vizkaya, Sharon Rotman, Eliyahu Ben Maxinemala, Bob Radke, Lyle Rubel, Mark Cook, Moshe Ben Nechama, Karen Pearson, Jean Bass, Alan Turner, Judy Weingarten, Myron Dvorkin, Sybil Savalsky, Esther Cohen, Lauren Cheris, Matt Cheris, Lisa Furstad, Terry Finch, Vince Tomkowitz, Charav Ilana Miriam Bat Chava, Faye Levin, Sarah Rachel Bat Yocheved Alexander, David Feldner, Gili Gollopel, Prue Precourt, Linda Berlin, Alan Elias, Tia Barrett, Wendy Salzberg, Adrian Kotradimos, Kim Toplinsky, Stephen Plotkin, Kathy Peltz, Avram Ben Naftali, Neville Sender, Emma and Max, Harper Pozlowski, Doug Cruz, Nadiva Sarah Bat Liba, Sharon Rothstein, Devorah Bat Yehuda Malchus, and Judy Naaman. If there are names that should be added to this list or names that should be pronounced differently, I invite you to hold those names now in your heart as we turn to these words of healing. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim. Blessed are you, the source of healing. We turn now to the Misha Berach, which can be found on page 17 in our Siddur.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
With these words of healing still echoing in our hearts and minds, we take this time now for silent meditation. Use shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, yase shalom, shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I hope that you'll allow me to pander to you for just a moment. What a win, right? Did you watch the Bucks win? They kept on saying Bucks in 6, and I kept on expecting them to say, now on the 7th day they rested. I know that the celebrations and the parades and the good vibes from this great moment will be relived in Milwaukee sports history for generations. Milwaukee waited for half a century to take the championship title, and it was achieved. Now that in itself is meaningful, but there is more for Milwaukeeans to be proud of and perhaps also hopeful for as well. And in our Torah portion, there's a little wisdom that can help us frame these moments in addition to all of the ways that we framed them up to this point. In this week's portion, Vayet Hanan, Moses shared with the people that he wasn't able to cross into the promised land with them. But God did grant Moses a vision of the land. He placed Moses on top of a mountaintop, and he saw a vision of the future of his people. And this moment is a paradigm for our lives. Sometimes we wander. Sometimes it's 40 years in the wilderness. I guess you could say sometimes it's 50 years between championships. But in life, we, like Moses, can be presented with a glimpse of a meaningful future. As individuals and as a society, we may not always enter into that future, but we are sometimes allowed to see a vision of a better tomorrow. The Bucks this week provided us a vision of a better tomorrow, and let me explain how. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be a significant fan of basketball. You guys know hockey and baseball. They take up most of my heart. But the story of Giannis and his family is certainly inspiring to me. And for those of you who don't know, and I imagine there aren't that many of you who don't know, let me retell a little of his history. Giannis was born on the 6th of December, 1994 in Athens, Greece. And his parents had immigrated into the country from Nigeria in 1991. Giannis and his brothers did not qualify for receiving Greek citizenship, their birth in Greece notwithstanding. In fact, even after turning 18, he remained a stateless person as he neither had Greek nor Nigerian citizenship. He remembers his parents struggling very hard to make ends meet and support a family of 8. And as a teenager, Giannis avoided going out at night for fear of being attacked by members of the Golden Dawn, a neo-Nazi party responsible for numerous assaults on immigrants. The brothers could not socialize freely with other children in their neighborhood and locals as they spent their growing up years constantly living in fear of being deported by the police. A club instructor who scouted and mentored Giannis recalled a 13-year-old and his brother playing with a football or a soccer ball in America and was not very interested in dribbling with a basketball. He realized that although Giannis was not good at basketball, he had the mental toughness and determination to excel in that sport. And the coaches on the team promised the young brothers that if they practiced basketball, they would try to find jobs for their parents. On most days, he and his older brother would report for practice on a near-empty stomach, and their neighbor, a restaurant owner, would prepare sandwiches for the kids so that they could play with some sustenance. They had help along the way from friends and neighbors as they ascended in the basketball world in Greece. And despite a late start, Giannis, his work ethic and natural gifts would quickly make him one of the most sought-after basketball talents in all of Greece. NBA scouts and executives flocked to the country to see the future star in action, and eventually Giannis was drafted 15th overall by the Milwaukee Bucks at the age of 18. And we know his stateless status threatened to prevent Giannis from traveling to New York for the NBA draft, leaving him with limited options to proceed other than attempting to secure a Nigerian passport. But luckily, the Greek government stepped in to provide citizenship to this new star that they had. And they were able to provide that to him so that he would be identified as Greek on the world stage. And the rest, perhaps we know better. All of Milwaukee has celebrated his accomplishments. We're celebrating the championship this week. We're celebrating that Giannis has embraced Milwaukee and Milwaukee has embraced Giannis. Giannis has never made a secret of where he came from. And though he donned a Bucks uniform and his socioeconomic place has changed, he has never stopped showing gratitude for the people and events that have brought him to be a champion. And we should not forget where he's from and where he's been. We should celebrate that too. Sports so often provide us with metaphors for life. They can, in truth, inspire us to be better versions of ourselves and can inspire us to understand teamwork and humility, cooperation and understanding. Perhaps the Bucks can provide us with a vision of a better Milwaukee too. It shouldn't be lost on us that we have seen repeated and persistent demonization and xenophobic attacks on immigrants within our nation. It's not just our nation, not just the United States, it's happening all around the world. And the fear-mongering continues to this very day. But America, like most countries, owes an immeasurable debt to our immigrants. They built and they build, they nurture, they teach and support, they lift others up and provide a richer, more vibrant world. And our nation is incomplete without them. The Bucks team was not complete until it had Giannis, a stateless child of refugees, an immigrant to this country and this city. This win has given an unquantifiable boost to the city. But there are ways that we could quantify it. I mean, when Giannis arrived in Milwaukee, the Bucks franchise was worth $300 million. Do you know how much it's worth today? $1.6 billion. Milwaukee and America has not fully achieved its promise. We live in a good land. That's what Milwaukee means. But we've not always embraced that future. But like Moses, we've been provided a glimpse. We stand at the border of what comes next for our society and for our nation. And perhaps this victory is the vision of a promised future, a vision of what can be achieved when we lift up all the members of our society, when we don't live in fear of people who have different life stories from our own, when we don't force them to hide or be ashamed of their past. It's a vision of what can happen when we commit ourselves to a society where we allow all people and peoples to be on our team. So let us not just extend our excitement and our appreciation for Giannis, though he is deserving of it. Let us see a vision of a future where we celebrate the accomplishments of all of those who are building a life here in Milwaukee. For those who come to this great nation with dreams in their hearts for a better tomorrow, for families and refugees far from the place of their birth and in search of a home. Let them be celebrated too. And when they are, perhaps then, Milwaukee will become the land of promise that we know it can be. For we have been granted a vision of what might be, if only we know when to pass to our teammates and take the shot at tomorrow. So I just want to say, as, I guess, a Canadian and a Raptors fan, congratulations, Bucks fans. Congratulations, Milwaukee. Let's keep celebrating this vision together. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So we are now going to turn in our service to Aleinu. Aleinu can be found in your Siddur on page 18. It is a joy to call forward Jeff and Linda Berlin to open up our Ark doors. And I'm going to invite you all to rise as we sing these sacred words together. Sing loudly. It's always good to hear you. We're all here together. We couldn't hear you when we were on Zoom, but it is wonderful to hear the voices of our congregation.
Aleinu l'shabech l'adon hakol, latet gdula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kugoye haratzot, velo samanu kimi
Yesha Koach, Linda, and thank you so much. All right, we are going to turn now to our Kaddish, which can be found on page 20. And, well, before we do, please be seated, actually, for just a moment. Before we turn to Kaddish, I'd like to invite our congregational president, Brent Arnold, to step forward and make some announcements on behalf of our congregation. Shabbat Shalom, Brent. I'm a little out of order. This is what happens when you go away for a couple of weeks. You forget how to lead service.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. And I'll have to agree with you, Rabbi. What a wonderful week it has been in our city. Watching the Milwaukee Bucks win an NBA championship is something that I never thought I would actually see. Growing up as a Bucks fan, I had always prayed and hoped that this would happen, but never actually thought it would. With a lot of hard work, team effort, lots of talent, and even a little mazel, the Milwaukee Bucks are now the 2021 NBA champions. It sounds really good. And then seeing our community all come together with 65,000 cheering fans surrounding a jam-packed new arena in Milwaukee. What a sight it was. Milwaukee was alive, and the world got to see everything that makes our community so very special. And speaking of special things, this week we welcomed our new director of congregational learning, Brian Avner, to Congregation Shalom. Brian joins us along with his wonderful wife, Sammy Avner, and their two wonderful children. Brian brings to Shalom a master's degree in Jewish education from Hebrew Union College, as well as a bachelor's degree in Jewish studies and Hebrew and Semitic studies from the University of Wisconsin in Madison. Brian is very smart, sincere, and full of a lot of passion, and will really be a great addition to our congregation. So please take the time when you see him to say hello and introduce yourself to him. His wife, Sammy Avner, is also the director of Tikkun Ha'ir, which is a wonderful partner organization of Shalom working to help repair our local community. Our membership committee met this week, led by our wonderful co-chairs David Wolfson and Charlie Goodman, to help enhance our onboarding of new members to Congregation Shalom. I am very pleased to report that membership is back on the rise, with 4 new member families joining this past month. We're going to hope that continues. At our Voices for Justice Committee meeting last night, we discussed the Religious Action Center's initiative for voter rights. They have set up a Zoom meeting with Senator Tammy Baldwin's office on Monday morning at 9:30 a.m. to support the freedom to vote. Thanks to our co-chairs Larry and Gili Galipol for all their great work there. Our next Shalom Dayenu Circle meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, July 28th, directly following our Minyan service. They are working to take bold actions towards restoring clean air, fresh water, and untainted lands. This Sunday at 4 o'clock, Shalom will host musician Lil Rev and Milwaukee guitar legend Jawbone Jimmy for a live in-person concert. Sounds like it will be a lot of fun. And then I also wanted to mention that you should have received today, either via email or you'll be getting it in the mail, a survey for the High Holy Days services. That's going to help us plan for services. So please fill that out and help us better plan. And lastly, Torah study will start tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock right here in Clearfield Hall. Then Shabbat services will follow at 10 o'clock in our sanctuary. Daily Minyan is at 5:45 p.m., and What's New on Thursdays at 10 a.m. is also back here in person and also on Zoom. So, as today also marks the opening ceremonies of the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo. I know it may look and feel a bit different, but we should all look forward to seeing the world take steps to come together in unity, competition, and work towards healing the challenges that have and still face our world. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Thank you, Brent. Thank you for reminding us about the Olympics. It is truly remarkable to see how sport can bring the world together and bring us together. And it's something for us to aspire to, and it's something for us to enjoy. We are going to turn now from our announcements to memory as we think of dear people who have walked this earth and for whom we walk in their footsteps. Particularly in our hearts and minds, I want to think of these members of our community who have passed away in recent days. We think of Jordan Ray Peterson Hare. We think of Donald Buddy Rubin. To those names, too, we add those whom are commemorating the period of Shloshim, the 30-day mourning period. We think of Dr. Dennis Nathan and Pearl Stein. To those names, too, we add those for whom we are commemorating their yahrzeit. And though they have passed away in seasons gone by, we still feel their presence with us dearly. We think of Kenneth Bacall, Joseph Berman, Barry Bruskin, Florence Durzon, Esther Friedman, Marion Gartenberg, Edith Gershon, Gladys Goodman, Harry Gorbitz, Jack Greenwood, Barbara Gruber, Ida Himmelreich, Sylvia Kaufman, Elaine Kohlenberg, Morris Laber, Muriel Leopard, Vera Labotsky, Sam Malofsky, Ida Marcus, Catherine Gollin Miller, Evelyn Paddock, Barbara Pash, Sylvia Pash, Harold Pentler, Ann Perchonik, N. Paley Phillips, Sally Pincus, William Recht, William Rosenthal, Marilyn Rotter, Bernard Samosky, Eva Sattler, Daniel Schoenfeld, Samuel Shapiro, Sylvia Ann Shovers, Sheldon Shumo, Mitchell Siegel, Jack Silberman, Dennis Sohn, Grace Stillman, Alvin Suker, Layla Tischberg, Ronald Wiseman, Simon Wasserman, Gerald Weinberg, Harold Winston, and Lou Zemmel. If there are names that should be pronounced differently than I did, or names that should be added to this list, please say those names as I look in your direction. May the memory of our loved ones be a benediction in our lives. And just as we've remembered our loved ones, so too do we add all those who have died due to war and or terrorism, all those who have died in defense of this nation and allied nations' ideals. We think of all of those who have died due to this terrible virus that has stricken our nation and our world, as well as all those who have died due to the virus of racism. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we turn to words sanctified by memory, words glorified by hope. I invite you to rise now as remember our loved ones as well as all those who perished during the Holocaust. Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, can be found on page 20. We recite these sacred words together. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash me Rabbah, v'alma divrach yurute v'amlich malchute. B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam u'lamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechemata, de'amiran bi'alma v'yimru Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. Ose shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. It's now a joy to call upon Beverly Ugent, who is going to be lighting our Shabbat candles. Beverly, you bring tremendous light into our community, into our congregation. It's always a joy to be with you on the Bima. And so we are going to turn in our Siddur to page 22 as we kindle the Sabbath lights.
Asher Kedeshanu B'Mitzvotav V'Tzivanu Lehaglik Ner Shel Shabbat.
Amen. And it is also a joy now to call upon Ben Marins, our past congregational president. I was about to say congregational president, but you have not been reelected. And we are now going to rise as we all celebrate the Kiddush and celebrate the Shabbat for a cup that is overflowing this week, for sure, with many blessings. Thank you, brother.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagofem. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kadsho be'acha uvratzonim kilanu zikaron lamase bereshit ki hu yom tehila lemikra kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim kivanu v'harta v'yatanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kadshecha v'ahava uvratzon hinkaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. How's it been? It's good.
It's tasty.
So,
That's just what Giannis and PJ Tucker were drinking.
oh yeah, I'm sure. I don't know whether you can tell, but Ben sings in our choir, and we are so excited that the choir is going to be joining in our High Holiday services this year. It is going to be absolutely, yeah, that's right. It's going to be absolutely wonderful to hear the choir again this High Holidays, to have us be lifted in prayer by all of you who are participating. Thank you to Ben. Thank you to all of our volunteers. And we are so excited to have that music back in our hearts and in our lives. We are going to turn now to our closing hymn for this Shabbat. Our closing hymn is Ki Eshmera Shabbat, which can be found on page 25. Page 25.
Ki Eshmera Shabbat, El Yishmereni. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, El Yishmereni. Oti leomead beno veni. Oti leomead beno veni. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, El Yishmereni. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, El Yishmereni. Oti leomead beno veni. Oti leomead beno veni. Thank you so much to Rabbi Pozlowski for lending us her voice for the Shabbat, leading us in prayer so beautifully. We conclude with these words of peace, these words of shalom. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone.